Okay, you got a pretty good idea on the conversations that need to happen before you begin to edit. One of the things that's critical is make sure that there is a synchronization strategy and that you know what it is before you begin to edit. Now, we'll explore all of the options available inside of Premiere Pro, but you don't want to drive yourself nuts trying to sync with a method that's destined to fail. The best type of sync is going to be synchronizing studio cameras with house sync, where all of the timecode is jammed between the cameras and mastered to a clock. In this case, it's very easy to have one single sync source. The next best option is time of day timecode. With time of day timecode, all of the cameras are set to a clock. However, they're not being fed timecode. Rather, there's a simple clock inside the cameras. Now, more and more cameras are coming with options like built-in Wi-Fi or GPS, and it's possible to set the clock on the camera off of a satellite source. This is making it very easy to then use that as a sync strategy. If this isn't a choice, many cameras can have time of day set and then use that. And this is useful particularly if you're going to be covering something that is really spread out. Now, time of day timecode can be jammed into cameras via an SDI cable, but you will need a pro camera. The benefit here is that that master clock isn't really an abstract number, but more of a real number. And then if you have long breaks within a production, think maybe you're filming a concert that's spread out with several acts, having that master clock makes it easy to both look at notes from the event as well as reference things. In fact, there's a whole new tool from Adobe called Live Logger that's part of Prelude that's designed to help with this workflow, and you will find a course to help you explore more of this in the Premiere Pro Guru series. Another option is to simply slave all the cameras together, taking the timecode from one camera and then feeding it out to the others. In this case, one camera becomes the boss, and its timecode is looped out to other sources. In this case, the timecode may not reference anything in particular based upon time of day or a master clock, but it does provide a sync source, and sync timecode is one of the easiest ways to work in Premiere Pro. So it doesn't matter if you're using one of the other strategies with house sync or time of day sync or just jam sync. All three of these are quite simple to use and make for very fast post-production. If this isn't an option, then you're going to need to rely upon audio or visual sync. For example, this is a simple production clapboard, one that we widely use in the studio. In fact, this is the one for today to ensure that the different sources are synced up for this production. Now, this particular course is not a true multi-camera production, but there are two sources. There's the camera I'm talking to and a computer feed that will be syncing together. What happens is that the clapboard raises and the person could call out the information about the scene in the take. And then when they close this, it produces both a visual sync point of the clapboard closing and that noise. That loud pop becomes an easy point to reference when it comes to syncing. Now, as you're dealing with the footage, sometimes you're going to have both of these. The benefit of the clapboard is particularly for sync sound workflows, where you're recording either the primary or a backup audio source to a dedicated audio-only recorder. This often gives you greater control. You could then use that to sync, and you know that you could use both the visual point, perhaps the camera was getting poor or low quality audio. You can use the closing of the clapboard, and then the audio spike on the actual audio file and line those two up. Otherwise, of course, you could use just visual points or just audio points. And as we look at some of our examples from real-world productions today, you'll see that sometimes I can use the clapboard method, and sometimes I just have to rely on pure audio points that are common across all the tracks, or an action that is covered. For example, multiple cameras where I reach for the edge of the laptop and grab it could become a visual sync point, even if there wasn't an audio track. All right, you got a pretty good idea here that it really comes down to shooting it right. And anything that the production crew can tell the editor will make the editor's job that much easier.